thanks so much for joining me on UpFront.
No, my friend, in my pleasure. I like to discuss these issues properly.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with what happened on Monday. This past Monday, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Karim Khan, said that he had requested arrest warrants for war crimes and crimes against humanity for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, as well as 3 members of Hamas. These warrants against Israeli leaders would be the very first time that the ICC has ever indicted a close ally of Western powers. Tell me about the significance of something like this.
Well, it provides some sanity, no? Mental sanity. The idea wars have to respect legal limits. Let me explain the process. The prosecutor was collecting evidence. Now he presents the evidence to the judges, so the arrest warrant will be decided by the judges, not the prosecutor. The judges can decide not to do it. So it's a process. Now there are 3 judges, one a lady from Romania, one from Benin, one from France. They will debate, they will decide, and they can decide in a month, like in Putin's case, or in 8 months. So that's the process.
One of the arguments that has been made by Israel and by the United States is the question of legitimacy and jurisdiction in particular. Israel is not party to the ICC. They say we don't recognize the authority of the ICC. Palestine has yet to be formally recognized as a state by the UN, so there's an argument there.
The UN recognized, I'm sorry. In my time, Palestine requests to be our intervention. For 3 years, they were briefing me, and at the end I said, I'm sorry, you are not a state. But after that, October 2012, the UN General Assembly decided Palestine is a state, not a member of the UN, but a state. And therefore, in 2015, Palestine became a state party of the International Criminal Court. And in 2021, the court accepted the investigation should be done in the Palestine territory, meaning Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. That's why the court has no jurisdiction in Israel. But Hamas committed crimes starting in Gaza, went to Israel, and come back to Gaza with even hostages. That's why the prosecutor has jurisdiction on Hamas. And the crimes allegedly committed by Netanyahu happen in Gaza. That's why the prosecutor is doing that. So the prosecutor is not investigating things that happen in Israel. He's prosecuting crimes committed from Gaza or in Gaza.
Now, if an arrest warrant is granted, any country that's a signatory to the ICC would have not just the right, but really an obligation to arrest Netanyahu, to arrest Yoav Gallant, if they ever step foot inside of their countries. Netanyahu had an interesting response to that reality. When he was asked about potential travel concerns, he stated, I am not concerned about traveling. I'm not concerned at all about our status. The prosecutor should be worried about his status. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how likely is it in reality that Netanyahu would be arrested when visiting a foreign country?
Well, the judges do what the judges can do, issue decisions. Then the police implement them. In the US, federal police, FBI go and implement things. There is no global FBI. So the judges in the ICC depend on states.
Right.
And for instance, for years, South Africa said to Mr. Bashir, you cannot come here. But then one day they accepted, okay, you can visit now because it's a big meeting. But then the South African judges ordered the arrest, and Bashir had to escape.
He ran out, right?
Yeah, right from the back door. So that's why President Putin declined to go to South Africa and to go to Brazil. Even the leaders said, you can come. They did not, because they don't like to take the risk. So that is a risk. But the issue is we should do more than that. It's not just about preventing them to travel. That's okay. We should do more to transform the situation. Look, you cannot defeat terrorism using war. General McChrystal, not a human rights guy, a General McChrystal who conducts operations in Afghanistan and Iraq, he developed what he called the insurgency math. You have 10 terrorists. You kill 2. How many remain? 20. 10 minus 2 equal 20. Why? Because the family and the friends became terrorists. Right. In fact, Hamas leaders, all of them, are victims, are families who were forced displaced. The Hamas leaders have kids killed. So all of them are also victims. They are committing the crimes, are victims at the same time. So it's time to stop the revenge cycle. that opportunity. ICC is offering an opportunity to transform a war into a justice operation.
Hamas sees it differently, though. Arrest warrants were requested for their leadership, as we know. Yahya Sinwar, the leader in Gaza, the Hamas leader in Gaza, Mohammed Deif, who was the commander of the Qassam brigades, which is the military wing of Hamas, and Ismail Haniyeh, who's the head of the Hamas political bureau. They've been accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity. They've demanded the withdrawal of these allegations, and they say that the ICC prosecutor was, quote, equating the victim with the executioner. Their argument is they have a right to armed resistance.
But okay, go and do the judges explain that. Go do that. Yes, you have this argument, go to the judges, make the argument. The prosecutor is not charging him to come for a TV show or to do resistance. They charge them to go to Israel and kill 1,400 civilians and took 200 hostages, women, kids. This is not combatant. So you are a freedom fighter. You cannot kill civilians. So that's why, if they believe in that, that's why they should go to the judges to explain the argument, because it's a bad argument.
Netanyahu also called Karim Khan, again, the prosecutor, one of the, quote, great anti-Semites in modern times. And he likened him to judges in Nazi Germany who helped to enable the Holocaust. Those are pretty heavy accusations. What do you make of them?
That's diverting attention. Come on. One of the 6 international law advisors reviewing the evidence is Theodor Meron, who, born in 1913, was in a Nazi labor camp. And he was a victim of Holocaust. And then he became legal advisor of Israel and the US. He is not anti-Semitic. He's a victim, he's a survivor of the Holocaust. He say these are perfect, valid arrest warrants requests. So come on, it's not about anti-Nazis. President Netanyahu had to take responsibility, what he did. He ordered this. Explain. You believe you are providing humanitarian assistance? Explain. He can do that. And in fact, in Israel, they don't like Netanyahu going to the ICC. The prosecutor in Israel can stop this, start an investigation. If Israel prosecutors start an investigation, that will stop the case. But it has to be a genuine investigation. I don't know if Netanyahu is more afraid of the Israel prosecutor or the ICC prosecutor. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I am not sure. It's not my job to determine that. I can't get into Netanyahu's brain and figure out what he's afraid of. He appears to not be afraid of much.
He's afraid. Come on. He's talking for months about this. Of course he's afraid.
Yeah, but he talks so tough. He says, look, I'm not getting arrested. In fact, the ICC, or the prosecutor should worry about his status. If you were the prosecutor when that happens, right? Back when you were a prosecutor, if Netanyahu had said, Ocampo needs to be worried about his status, not mine.
But she say that all the time. But when they talk about you, it's because they are afraid. And in fact, Bashir was very afraid, and he was right because today he's in jail. Not yet in ICC, but he's in jail. Yes, when you're indicted, you have a big problem. That's why Netanyahu is worried about it. And he's talking about this for the last months. If you're a prime minister involved in so many difficult conflicts, why are you talking so much about the ICC if you don't care about the ICC? Of course he cares. Of course he cares.
Okay. Well, the White House had some commentary about the ICC as well. They say ICC doesn't have jurisdiction in the conflict, and the arrest warrant is outrageous, as we've already discussed. But in late April, prior to these warrants, a group of Republican senators issued a threat to the ICC and specifically to the prosecutor, Karim Khan. Here's what he said. He said, target Israel and we will target you. If you move forward, we will move to end all American support for the ICC, sanction your employees and associates, and bar you and your families from the United States. You have been warned.
Look, in the US, they impeach President Nixon to obstruct justice. They impeach Donald Trump for obstructing justice.
A couple times, yeah.
Yeah, so is the US Senate going to obstruct international justice? That's what they are doing. That's the leader of the world doing.
They're saying Israel's being unfairly targeted and you don't have the jurisdiction.
But a Senate cannot, a national Senate attacking the international court for doing something which is absolutely proper, because the jurisdiction is provided by Palestine, not by Israel. And the case is, come on, U.S. is building a port in Gaza because there is no humanitarian assistance coming from Israel. Come on, how they can recognize the problem and say, of course, it's a war crime. Look, I have friends, international law professors from Israel. Everyone recognizes it. You cannot justify the stopping of the humanitarian assistance, the water and food to Gaza. It is obviously a crime. Starving is a crime. It's a crime committed against Armenians. It's a crime committed always. It's a crime. So the idea to ignore the crimes and pretending the problem is not those who commit the crime, the problem is the prosecutors, that's a big mistake.
The U.S. gives billions of dollars to Israel. We have enabled Israel in every way imaginable: money, weapons, shielding them from accountability at the UN. Is there a moment where the U.S. will be deemed complicit, not just in the court of public opinion, but in an international legal body?
Well, legally, yes. If the case is confirmed and it's a crime committed, providing willful contribution to this crime could be a crime. But yeah, that could be a crime. So that could be something important. You're
a veteran and an expert. How likely is it, do you think, that the U.S.
But it's not about doing cases. The point is, law should be respected not just by judges and prosecutors. Law should be primarily respected by leaders. Yeah. Leaders cannot say it's okay to starve 2 million people, or it's okay Hamas go and kill the Israelis. No, we have to stand for the victims, Israeli victims, Palestinian victims. You just stand for the killers, you have a problem. That's why in the U.S. many students are making revolts, because they don't see the rationale of this. How you cannot stop crimes? How the U.S. authorities could attack a prosecutor who's investigating obvious crimes? It's a time to rethink.
You know, there are people who believe that obvious crimes should be investigated by the ICC, just not obvious crimes in every country. Earlier this week, Prosecutor Khan did an interview with CNN's Christian Amanpour.
Yeah.
And he stated that an unnamed senior leader told him that the ICC was actually, quote, built for Africa and for thugs like Putin. Israel also urged, quote, nations of the civilized world to oppose the ICC's request for arrest warrants. What do you make of statements like these? The idea that there's a dichotomy between the civilized world and the global south. The idea that the ICC is for those people over there, not for us. And how that squares with the fact that this is the first time that a close ally of Western power is being indicted.
Well, the law is for everyone, no? No one is above the law. And the fact that South Africa is demanding also a case before the DJ showing, okay, the law is not in the hands of the U.S. The South Africa, Brazil, and the countries in the South can demand law, because law is the way to protect the poor people. Law is the way to protect the weaker. If you have big weapons, you don't need the law. You need the law when you have no weapons. And that's why it's so important to confirm the law is important. And that's why I like it. The judges are from Benin, Romania, okay, France is not so small. So yes, ICC is a global experiment. It's a transformation. And this is a critical moment, not just for Israeli and Palestinians, for the world.
Luis Moreno Ocampo, thank you so much for joining me on UpFront.
Thank you.